At 2 in the morning, a fox stands under a red traffic light on an empty city street. It does not know what the light means, but it knows the giant metal animals sometimes stop here. To us, this is a normal intersection. To the fox, it may be a dangerous clearing with strange rules. A city has towers, roads, drains, lights, engines, and millions of people who believe they own it. But wild animals do not see a city as an achievement of engineering. They see food, shelter, heat, noise, movement, hiding places, and sudden death. So what does a wild animal think a city actually is? And when it looks at the humans inside it, what does it think we are? The answer is probably stranger than predator, friend, or enemy. Because to urban wildlife, humans may be less like characters and more like part of the weather. Animals do not need to understand concrete to understand opportunity. A pigeon sees cliffs made of glass and stone, covered with ledges that resemble nesting sites. A rat sees underground tunnels that stay warmer than the frozen ground above. A raccoon sees locked boxes that refill with food on a surprisingly reliable schedule. A peregrine falcon sees tall launch platforms and a steady supply of pigeons below. The city is artificial to us. To them, it is simply another environment with patterns to learn. And some of those patterns are more predictable than nature. Fruit appears briefly in a forest. Restaurant waste may appear behind the same door every night. A hollow tree can collapse. A roof cavity may remain dry for years. Winter is still cold, but vents, basements, sewers, and engines leak heat into the night. This makes cities look generous, but almost every gift is attached to a trap. The road that leads to food can also become a wall of speed. The window that reflects open sky can be harder than stone. The light that helps an animal hunt can also erase the darkness its body expects. The garbage bag full of calories may also contain plastic, chemicals, or food no wild stomach evolved to handle. A city is not easy habitat. It is high reward habitat with complicated instructions. The animals that remain are often the ones best at noticing those instructions. Not necessarily the strongest animals or even the smartest in every situation. They are often the bold, flexible, observant ones willing to test something new without testing it too recklessly. In other words, the city rewards a particular kind of personality. Then, there is the most powerful and confusing feature in the landscape, us. For many wild animals, a human is not one category. A person walking past may be harmless. A person staring directly may be dangerous. A person carrying food may be an opportunity. A person carrying a net may mean escape. A crowded sidewalk can feel safe because no individual is paying attention. One silent human standing still can feel far more threatening. Urban animals learn our posture, gaze, speed, routines, vehicles, tools, and distance. They may know when school ends, when markets close, and when garbage trucks arrive. They can learn which gardens contain dogs and which balconies contain people who throw bread. Some do more than classify us. They remember individual people. Research on crows suggests they can remember threatening human faces for years. They can also spread that warning socially until birds that never met the original person react too. To a crow, your face may function less like an identity and more like a permanent safety rating. Other animals may rely more on smell, movement, clothing, location, or repeated experience. What matters is not who you believe you are. It is what usually happens when you appear. If you always pass without looking, you become background. If you feed an animal every evening, you become a moving food signal. If you chase it once, you may become the shape that predicts pursuit. Wild animals build a version of us from consequences, not biographies. That version may be brutally accurate in ways our own self-image is not. The city itself also feels different when it is built from senses other than ours. A fox may experience a street as overlapping trails of food, dogs' territory, fear, and recent human movement. A rat can feel vibrations through surfaces and hear frequencies that barely exist for us. A bird can navigate above our walls, but may struggle with reflections, artificial light, and constant mechanical sound. For nocturnal animals, a bright city can turn night into a permanent gray twilight. For animals that communicate by sound, traffic can cover important calls like an endless waterfall. Some birds sing louder, higher, or at different times to be heard above us. This does not mean they understand engines. It means their behavior bends around the pressure engines create. The same is true of almost everything we build. Animals do not need our explanation of a city. They need a working model of its consequences. Over time, these working models can pass beyond a single animal. Young animals watch parents, siblings, neighbors, and sometimes even other species. A successful route to food can become a local tradition. A dangerous corner can become a place the whole group avoids. Cities, therefore, do not just change where animals live, they change what animals learn. They may also influence which temperaments survive long enough to reproduce. But we should be careful calling urban animals smarter than rural ones. Intelligence is not one ladder, and every habitat asks different questions. A city favors animals that solve city problems. A forest favors animals that solve forest problems. The impressive part is not that wildlife becomes human-like. It is that life keeps finding usable patterns in our chaos. From this perspective, a city may look less like civilization and more like a new kind of wilderness. Its cliffs are buildings. Its caves are sewers. Its rivers are traffic. Its seasons are workdays, weekends, garbage nights, festivals, construction, and winter heating. And its dominant animal is a tall primate that constantly changes the rules without noticing who else is playing. Wild animals probably do not think they are invading our city. Many are moving through land their ancestors used before the walls, roads, and lights arrived. Others are newcomers attracted by opportunities that did not exist until we created them. To them, we may be predators, providers, obstacles, landmarks, and weather, sometimes all in one afternoon. Maybe the strangest thing about cities is not that wild animals have learned to live inside our world. It is that, while we were building it for ourselves, other minds were already learning to read us back.